Have you ever looked at your love life and felt like you are running a race with no finish line, endlessly chasing a connection that remains just beyond your grasp? You give, you compromise, you silence your own needs, all in the hope of finally being chosen, of finally being seen as worthy of a great love. But what if the entire premise is flawed? What if the reason the right person hasn't arrived is not because you aren't enough, but because you have been taught to seek love as a beggar when you were born to command it as a queen? This is the fundamental paradox that keeps so many brilliant, powerful women trapped in cycles of disappointment, believing that love is something to be earned through sacrifice, rather than an inevitable consequence of self-reverence. The great psychoanalyst Carl Jung articulated a truth that echoes through the deepest chambers of the human heart. When you love yourself enough, you will attract the right person. This isn't a gentle suggestion or a hopeful affirmation. It is a psychological law as immutable as gravity. The universe and the men within it do not respond to your pleas for validation. They respond to the undeniable energy of your own self-worth. When you are whole, complete, and sovereign within your own being, you become a magnetic force. You stop searching for your other half because you recognize you were never a half to begin with. This journey, my ladies, is not about finding love, but about becoming it, so that the right partner has no choice but to find you. Welcome to Feminine Queen, the space where we explore the architecture of female power, not as a weapon, but as a throne from which you govern your life with grace, wisdom, and unshakable strength. Today we delve into the sacred alchemy of self-love, exploring the psychological and spiritual mechanics of how embodying your inner queen fundamentally alters who you are drawn to, and more importantly, who is drawn to you. Forget everything you have been told about making yourself more appealing to a man. The only person you need to appeal to is the woman in the mirror. You are a feminine queen, and it is time to understand the blueprint of attraction that begins and ends with you. 1. The illusion of begging for love. Why neediness corrupts your throne. A feminine queen never kneels to be crowned, yet in the pursuit of love, many women unknowingly trade their scepter for a beggar's bowl. This is the great illusion, that by making yourself smaller, more agreeable, and less demanding, you become more lovable. In reality, you become more convenient. When you fragment your personality to fit into the narrow spaces of another person's approval, you are not practicing devotion. You are engaging in emotional serfdom. A man, particularly a man of substance, does not respect what he can easily control. When he senses your desperation, that subtle but potent, energetic plea for him not to leave, he may stay for the temporary feast it provides his ego, but he will never bow to a ruler who has forgotten her own decrees. Your neediness becomes a poison that corrupts the very foundation of your throne, turning a potential kingdom into a prison of anxiety. True, majestic love cannot be extracted like a tax or won like a prize. It is summoned by the gravitational pull of your own wholeness. Every time you silence your intuition, ignore a red flag, or mute your boundaries to keep a man, you are sending a clear, albeit unspoken, message. My love is a charity, not a treasure. It is something to be given away to prevent loneliness, rather than a sacred gift bestowed upon the worthy. The feminine queen understands this critical distinction. Her love is an invitation into her already magnificent world, not a desperate plea for someone to build one for her. The moment you stop bargaining for attention and start embodying a state of serene self-sufficiency, you expose the counterfeit suitors who were only there for the easy validation. And then the worthy ones, the kings who seek a queen, will arrive not with conditions, but with offerings. 2. The shadow's seduction. How unhealed wounds. Choose your lovers. Behind every pattern of toxic romance, there lies a hidden, unconscious pact. Your psyche, in its relentless quest for healing, will unconsciously select partners who perfectly mirror the very wounds you refuse to acknowledge within yourself. That emotionally distant man you find so intoxicatingly magnetic. He is not an accident of fate. He is a living, breathing echo of a childhood pain, perhaps the father who never offered praise, or the mother who taught you that love was conditional and must be perpetually earned. The brilliant psychoanalyst Carl Jung identified this phenomenon as projection. You unconsciously drape your own unclaimed pain, your own unresolved shadow self, onto another person. You then fall in love not with them, but with the familiar agonizing dance of trying to heal your old wound through them. You mistake this magnetic recognition of your own pain for destiny. A feminine queen, however, does not flee from her shadows. She turns, faces them, and commands them to speak. She understands that true power lies in integration, not denial. When you feel that irresistible pull toward a man who is cold, inconsistent, or emotionally unavailable, you must learn to pause and interrogate the attraction. That intense feeling isn't chemistry. It is a deep, soulful recognition. Your inner self is pointing directly to an unhealed chamber within your own heart, a place where a younger version of you still believes that love must be a struggle, a conquest. To break the spell, you must do the sacred work of what Carl Jung called individuation, the process of becoming whole. Write letters to your younger self, offering the validation you never received. Dance with your rage in the solitude of a moonlit room. Reclaim the parts of yourself you exiled long ago out of shame or fear. Only when you heal these inner fractures will your allure attract men who mirror your radiance, not your rubble. 3. The Alchemy of Indifference. Why your silence is more potent than your screams. Observe the lioness in her domain. She does not chase, she does not plead, she simply is. Her power is inherent, and her presence commands respect without a single roar. A feminine queen operates from a similar principle of majestic indifference. The moment you begin to ration your attention, making it a prized commodity rather than a freely distributed handout, you fundamentally shift the power dynamic in any interaction. Men, by a deep psychological and biological design, are often wired to pursue, to solve, to achieve. When you become the elusive prize, the serene and centered woman whose happiness is not contingent on his text message, his instincts awaken. Your silence following his neglect is not a punishment enacted from a place of spite. It is a powerful recalibration. You are not playing a game, you are demonstrating a standard. You are teaching him through your actions rather than your words that access to your mind, your heart, and your time is a privilege, not an assumed right. This powerful indifference, however, is not a tactic to be wielded. It is the natural and authentic state of a woman who is so profoundly rooted in her own worth that the validation of others becomes supplementary, not essential. When you stop obsessively checking his social media, auditing the time between his replies, or rehearsing angry speeches in your head, you begin to emit a frequency of self-possession. This energy terrifies weak, insecure men who thrive on controlling a woman's emotional state, but it absolutely enchants strong, sovereign men, the kings. The ultimate power of a feminine queen lies in her genuine ability to walk away, not as a threat or an ultimatum, but as a calm, factual statement of her own value. Let your absence speak the words you no longer need to scream. I am already a complete and thriving universe. You may enter my realm, but only if you are capable of elevating it. 4. The Sacred Art of Solo Reign. How Solitude Forges Unshakable. Worth a queen's most profound and transformative love affair is the one she cultivates with herself, in the sacred halls of solitude. Society has conditioned women to view being alone as a state of lack, a waiting period before life truly begins. This is a lie designed to keep you small and seeking. For the feminine queen, solitude is not emptiness. It is the throne room. It is the silent, expansive space where you commune with your deepest self, draft the decrees of your life, and anoint yourself in your own power. When you spend an evening wrapped in silk, lighting a candle not for a lover, but for your own pleasure, and savoring the richness of your own company, you are not waiting for a man to arrive. You are practicing the art of sovereignty. You are making your own presence so fulfilling that any man who wishes to enter your life must be worthy of interrupting that sacred peace. This is your invitation to romance yourself with the fervor you wish from another. Journal by candlelight, allowing your unfiltered thoughts and tears to anoint the pages like royal ink. Prepare and feast on foods that delight your senses, not for a diet meant to shrink you into a more acceptable shape, but for the sheer pleasure of nourishing your temple. Travel alone, even if it's just to a nearby town, and allow strangers to marvel at the sight of a woman who is her own companion, her own protector, her own date. This is how you perform a sacred exorcism on the fear of abandonment. You prove to yourself, on a daily cellular level, that your own presence is not just enough. It is magnificent. Then, when a man finally does arrive, he will find no desperate vacancy to fill. He will find a fully furnished palace, and he will know he may only enter if he brings with him gifts of respect, devotion, and reverence fit for a queen. All right, feminine queens, this is deep work, and I want to pause for a moment to acknowledge you. You are the heart of this incredible community, and your presence, your engagement, and your commitment to your own growth is what makes this space so powerful. Keep that magnificent energy flowing. Your likes, comments, and shares extend this conversation to other women who need to hear it. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe, hit that notification bell, and share this message with another queen in your life. I'll love you forever for helping us build this empire of empowered women. Now, let's get back to the rain. 5. The language of energy, why your unspoken demands repel majesty. Energy does not lie, and it is the one language that is universally understood, even on an unconscious level. That gnawing, twisting anxiety you feel in the pit of your stomach when he hasn't replied for a few hours. That is not love. That is an energetic leakage. It is the subtle but potent scent of neediness, and it seeps through your digital communications, your body language, and the very air around you. Men, especially those who are emotionally intelligent and secure, can detect this frequency from a mile away. They may not be able to articulate it, but they feel it as a psychic pressure, an unspoken demand for reassurance. A man may temporarily enjoy the ego boost that comes from your desperate need for his attention, but he will never truly revere you. He cannot, because reverence is reserved for that which is whole unto itself. The energy of a feminine queen is a sealed vault of self-possession. No desperation escapes, because none is cultivated within. Here is a powerful practice to master your energetic output. Before you send that second text, before you ask that needy question, before you seek that validation you feel you desperately need, stand before a mirror. Take a deep breath. Look yourself directly in the eye and ask aloud, what am I truly seeking from him right now? If the honest answer is reassurance, validation, or proof of your worth, put the phone down. Delete the message. Choose yourself instead. Go for a walk. Listen to music that makes you feel powerful, or accomplish a small task. You must learn to fill your own cup. Let him feel the void, not of your anger, but of your serene and total absence. When you stop feeding his indifference with your anxious attention, He has only two choices: step forward with intention to meet you at your level, or expose himself as a peasant who was never worthy of entering your court in the first place. 6. The Coronation of Boundaries. How to rule without apology. A boundary is not a wall you build to keep love out. It is a gilded, well-guarded moat that separates the queen of the castle from the court jesters in the village square. Its purpose is not to punish, but to define. The moment you tolerate a disrespectful comment, an unkept promise, or a casual disregard for your time just this once, you have taken off your crown and put on a servant's apron. You have demoted yourself to staff in the palace of your own life. The boundaries of a feminine queen are clear, firm, and entirely non-negotiable, not because she is rigid or unkind, but because her inner peace is the most priceless treasure in her kingdom, and she is its sworn protector. These boundaries are not angrily screamed from the ramparts. They are calmly and coolly enforced with the quiet authority of a monarch. Let your actions be your decree. For example, he cancels plans last minute with a casual text. The needy response is to express disappointment and try to reschedule immediately. The queenly response is a simple, warm, and detached statement. Thank you for letting me know. I adore spontaneity, but my time is a resource I reserve for those who honor it. There is no anger, no lecture, no further explanation. The consequence, your vanished presence and redirected attention, is the lesson. This approach acts as a powerful filter. Weak men, takers, and boys who fear accountability will flee, offended by your refusal to be managed. But a king, a man of character and substance, will see your boundary not as a rejection, but as a testament to your high value. He will recognize he is in the presence of royalty, and he will adjust his behavior accordingly, or he will not be granted an audience again. 7. The myth of the perfect partner. Why you must outgrow fairy tales. You were fed a beautiful and dangerous lie from a very young age, a lie whispered in fairy tales and shouted in romantic comedies, that love is a rescue mission. You were taught that a perfect partner, a prince or a knight, will arrive on a white horse, see your beautiful fractured soul, and his devotion will be the magical glue that heals your every crack. The truth, my queens, is far more empowering. A queen heals herself. She meticulously tends to her own wounds, rebuilds her own castle, and forges her own crown. Then, and only then, does she select a consort to share in her already glorious reign, not a savior to rescue her from its ruins. The man who appears perfect to you at any given moment is nothing more than a flawless mirror of your current self-concept. If your self-concept is based on lack, you will see perfection in a man who promises to fill your emptiness. Upgrade your inner worth, and your definition of the perfect partner will ascend with you. Therefore, you must stop seeking completion and start seeking amplification. The right man does not arrive to fill your gaps. He arrives to match your already powerful frequency. He doesn't solve your problems. He is inspired by how you solve your own. He is not drawn to your potential. He is mesmerized by your actuality. This requires a profound psychological shift from the mindset of an applicant auditioning for the role of girlfriend to the mindset of a monarch surveying her kingdom. When you stop auditioning for love, when you cease trying to prove your worthiness, you will finally be able to see clearly. You will recognize the man who arrives not to complete you, but to celebrate you. He will not be a rescuer. He will be a fellow ruler, ready to build an even greater empire by your side. So we return to the profound wisdom of Carl Jung, not as a mere quote, but as a guiding star for the feminine queen. When you love yourself enough, you will attract the right person. This journey is the ultimate act of taking radical responsibility for your own heart and your own reality. It is the understanding that the outer world, including the partners you attract, is a direct and unflinching reflection of your inner world. To change the reflection, you must first transform the object. These principles are not about playing hard to get. They are about becoming hard to forget. They are not about manipulation. They are about a profound and sacred alignment with your own sovereign soul. The right person is not a prize you win at the end of a long and desperate struggle. The right person is the natural, inevitable, energetic match for a woman who has already made herself the great love of her own life. He is attracted to your wholeness, your passion for your own existence, your unshakable boundaries, and the serene peace that radiates from a woman who does not require an audience to feel like a queen. The work is not to find him. The work is to become the woman that a man of his caliber would be terrified to lose. It is about building a kingdom within yourself so magnificent that only a true king would be worthy of receiving an invitation. Here on Feminine Queen, this is the deepest truth we hold. It is the core of our philosophy. This transformation from seeking to attracting is your birthright. You are a feminine queen, not because a man crowns you, but because you were born with a crown and have simply forgotten where you placed it. The choice to finally love yourself enough is not just an act of self-care. It is your coronation. It is the moment you cease being a passive participant in your love story and become its powerful, deliberate author. The pen has been in your hand all along. Look in the mirror tonight, my ladies, and see not what is lacking, but what is already there. See the strength, the wisdom, the resilience, and the infinite capacity for love that begins with you. Anoint yourself in that knowledge. If this message resonated with the queen within you, subscribe to Feminine Queen and hit the bell to join our sisterhood of sovereigns. Share this with a woman who needs to be reminded of her own power. Your reign does not begin when he arrives. Your reign begins now,